Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Second Act Actors. I'm your host, Dr. Janet McMordie, and I'm still a medical doctor simultaneously to run and pursue a career in acting. My guest this week is Susan Serrao. Susan was a toy seller turned actor. And it's really funny because I remember Discovery toys growing up and my mom having Discovery toy parties in our house. So we immediately connected with this. I was like, yes, amazing, formative memories for me. But incredible story to tell of her life turning into the actor that she is. She also is a writer, sketch comedian as well too. I'll put links in the show notes below for all the amazing projects that she is part of. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you to hear her story. She's like joy incarnate. Please enjoy Susan Serrao. Tell me your story. How did you get into this crazy business?
Geez, I don't know. I can make this the really long version or very concise. So we're on a podcast, so I'll make it a long version. So I have 4 sons, and at the time when I was having this conversation with my older kids because they could speak, and I was telling them that you could be anything you want to be, and that whatever you're passionate about or whatever you love, you can turn it into your business. Like, it's kind of a cool day and age that you can do that. And they were like, "Oh, Mom, did you always want to be a toy lady?" Because at the time I was selling educational toys because it really worked along the schedule of the family and it helped my kids develop, and I learned how to run a business. So there were a lot of good things that I was learning. A great community of mostly stay-at-home moms that I worked with. So that was great. But I was like, no, I didn't always want to be a toy lady. I always wanted to be an actor. And he was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Oh, I'm a hypocrite. I want to be an actor. And here I am being a toy lady." And so at the time also I was a dancer. So I was a professional dancer I would say I was doing professional dancing from 15 until I had my kids. So anyhow, I was dancing, choreographing, artistic directing, and I was also a toy lady as my business. So I was doing all this, plus I had 4 kids. You know how it is, right? So anyhow, I realized that I'm doing all of this stuff and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think Brene Brown says that's what a midlife crisis is, right? It's your world shaking you up and saying, "What are you doing? Get to it. Stop messing around," right? So I was like, okay. I talked to my brother, Dave, who knew the owner of Company of Rogues because he did some graphic design work for him. He's like, "I'll get you in an intro class." So okay. So I went and took the intro class, and it was just like angels were singing. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, yes, it was a comedy. It was a great instructor, Aaron Coates. And I just was in love with it. And he would direct me to try different things. And I was like, oh my God, you can try different things. There isn't a pick a thing to do. And that's, you got it right or you got it wrong. It was so eye-opening and heart-opening. And then, I was just like, hey, I'm in. I talked to him after the class. I was like, what should I do? He's like, "Well, what's your goal? What do you want to do?" I'm like, I want to be on Saturday Night Live. Obviously, doesn't everybody? And he's like, "You need to take improv classes." So I started taking improv with Loose Moose in Calgary here. So that's where Bruce McCullough, Mark McKinney, Andrew Fung, Norm Hiscock, a lot of really talented comedians. I feel bad I'm not naming any women. Rebecca Northen, there's a lot of really talented people came out at Loose Moose. So I started training there. And then I found a Meisner class that fall. And I was really hesitant to jump in any further because I have kids, I have, responsibilities. So I asked my kids, I was like, "Hey, there's a Meisner class on Thursday nights. It's for 12 weeks. I'd be gone every Thursday night for 12 weeks. Are you guys okay with that? How do you feel?" And Jay says to me, that's my oldest, he's like, "Mom, do you think you would love it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I would." And he's like, then you have to do it. And I was like, holy geez, I'm the one that's holding me back. Nobody else is. And so then I started my Meisner class, and halfway through that, I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I joined about 6 weeks late. I joined the master class, and I did that for 2 years with Company of Rogues. Are you okay?
Yes, that like makes me so happy. Yeah, I always pause a little bit because one, I like to like absorb everything, and also people just have incredible stories that they love to share. I never like to cut them off. But like, so question for you.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, did you like, I know you kind of mentioned that, yeah, I always wanted to be an actor. Was there something or someone who was like, no, that's not a logical career path?
Yeah, of course. Otherwise, I probably would have done it. Yeah, I think I probably wanted to be an actor forever. And I remember at 11 being like, I'm going to be an actor. Like, that's what I wanted to do. And I used to watch Monty Python and Kids in the Hall and Saturday Night Live. And we used to watch the old ones, like the 25th anniversary and stuff like that. And so you wouldn't even get the full sketch, but I was just like, this is what living is. Like, that looks like so much fun. And so watching SNL through my teenage years, Chris Farley, Molly Shannon, like these two were like, I was like, oh my goodness, you can just let yourself go. And like, that's applauded. Like, I'm used to being like, let yourself go. And okay, that's enough. Settle down, calm down. You know what I mean? Like, just the regular raising of kids stuff. I don't blame my parents at all for any of it, or teachers or anything. That's just the way we were all raised, right? I think. Please don't correct me if I'm wrong. So that's just the way it was. And then when I took drama in high school, I loved it. Like, it didn't feel like work. And I think maybe that's why I didn't think it could be work. Because, I go to class, you just show up, you have fun, you play, you try different things. Improv was my favorite. I remember doing a monologue, and we were in the theater, and I forgot to memorize my monologue. So my friend Gilly, he went and laid down in the second row with my monologue, and everybody was sitting at the top of the theater. And I had these jean shorts on. I just remember I said, every time I pull off a thread of my shorts, I don't know the line, and you have to feed me the line. And so he did. I would be like, I was there and I was doing it. I'd pull my string and he would give me the line, and I would give the line, and I would try to do as far as I could. And then I'd pull another string. It's just terrible. And I got like a 95 on it because just like, you were so into it, like with the string and your pants and the environment. And I was like, holy geez. Like, it was so funny. Anyhow, but then it was like, you don't go to university for this because you're paying how much money to go to university to take this and then never make money in your life. Like, that was just my understanding of it. And even as a dancer, I was never going to go to university for dance because I've danced my whole life. Now I go to LA and I audition. Now I go to whatever, but there's just the thing I was missing was the business side. Yes, I can dance. Yes, I can act. Yes, I can have fun. But how do I go and make money at this? How do I get in the room? Where is the room? Like, I had no idea. Yeah.
So you are in Calgary learning how to be in the room. And what was missing? Like we were saying right as we were getting on about the business side of acting, like why was that missing from you right from the get-go? And also kind of now that you're building this career?
I feel like in acting, the focus is on the script, the performance, the audience. Like, there's a lot that you learn that is the craft, right? And you have to learn that. I feel so bad for people who, get an agent right away and jump on a set as a background performer and think that that's the way to become an actor because they've got a lot of work ahead of them. And then also when you see people providing acting classes that are basically how to audition, but there's no backup. There's no, well, actually, how do you act once you get the gig? Yeah, you need to know both. But there's some people that are just teaching all of my clients book the gig. Well, all your clients probably have a background in acting then. And this is just helping them. So those kind of things, they bother me. They irk me. Because you have to go through the process of finding where your blocks are, finding where you need to stretch or grow, doing that in an environment that you feel safe in. I've heard of friends going to take Meisner classes and it doesn't feel safe, or, they're in method classes and it doesn't feel safe. It's all about getting your trauma and living in it, which I don't think you don't need to do that. You can make up a trauma and then you can let go of it. But also that's one thing I didn't learn in school was like how to shed the character when you're done. And I found that I really would struggle after being in an intense play for like 3, 4, 5 weeks. And then you're done and the play's done, but you still have this sitting in you, this character, this grief, this whatever the character was dealing with is still in you because I haven't purged it. So it took me a few years to figure out how to release that as well. But from going from theater school into becoming a professional, it was, if you want to be in theater, well, now you need to start going to opening nights. Every opening night you can get to, you need to go to those because that's the directors and the producers and the other actors and the people in the industry that you need to meet and network with. You need to go to all the play readings. You need to go to all of the events that are networking that you were going to just get to know and make friends with these people. I think that's a key too, is like when I started, I was just like, I just want my friends to be directors and writers and actors and comedians and all this. And 9 years later they are, but it took 9 years. You know what I mean? Like it's not a quick transition. And also if you're too hungry and desperate for it, people are like, okay, you need to settle down and then we'll have a chance to connect just as humans, because that's where it starts. But you don't learn you need stuff on your resume to book gigs, and you need to book gigs to get stuff on your resume. So how do you go around that? You make your own stuff, right? And it's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible, but you're going to think it's amazing. You know what I mean? When you're doing it, this is the best thing anybody has ever done. I don't know how they aren't knocking on my door. You make it, and it's great because it teaches you way more than taking somebody else's perfect script and acting it with the greatest director who is your teacher, who's giving you all this great feedback, and they bring the audience to you. Like, you don't learn much there from a business perspective. So I had a friend and we made our own play, which was supposed to be serious, but it turned into a comedy. And we did it once and it was like, cool, that's done. And then we took another 10-minute play. We did a 10-minute festival out in Canmore, and we just bought our own set, got our own costumes, did the play. We returned everything the next day. Because it's like, we don't have a budget for this. And nothing was wrecked. It was literally open, put on the stage, and then brought back to the store. So we're like, we don't feel bad. But doing things like that just help you understand all of the different aspects. So if we move into film, it's different in film than it is theater, because you can't just go hang out with casting directors. They're not available. You don't get into their production. You don't meet the producers just anywhere. You have to find them, and you have to find ways to like build relationships with these people. One of the best things that I ever heard was you can go to networking events where you can hang out with actors, and that's great because actors are making stuff and those are your friends and you guys can help each other out. But you really need to go and network where the producers are and where the directors are and where the writers are, because those are the people that you can collaborate, where you have something that they can use and they have something you can use, and you can help each other, right? So I got a lot of that stuff from my Discovery Toys business, right? So it's like, oh, there was a reason why I did the toys, and I learned about business, and I learned about mindset, and I learned about budgeting, and I learned about sales and all of this stuff. It's because I actually have to do that as an actor. All of that comes into play. I'm sure that you're the same, right? Being a doctor, a lot of those skills for having a business or running your own business come into play as an actor.
Totally. And as an aside, I was kind of wondering if it was Discovery Toys. My mom was not a Discovery Toy seller, but she would have parties she'd host parties. And I have vivid memories. She was a kindergarten teacher. Vivid memories of coming home from school. And there's all these toys around the living room that we were like, could tentatively touch, be like, Discovery Toys Day.
Oh my goodness, that's my kid's childhood. It was like, because I would order all the toys at a big discount, and then I would make the money back. Like, because I wasn't one of the people that were like, I wasn't a kit buyer, which is somebody who buys the kit and then has it and is like, cool, that's a discount, which is fine. I used to have a lot of those people join my team, but I was in it. Like, I was like, I want to go as far as I can. I got top sales in Canada, top sales in the company, top recruits, top team sales. Like, I earned all the trips, all the iPads, all the stuff. But it's because I really wanted to learn about business without going to school, because I had 4 young kids at home. Not when I started. When I started, I had 2. But then, yeah, the toys are they're so good. And then my kids would be the toy testers. That was their job. And I'm like, by the way, you're getting smarter right now, just as a side note. And my oldest son is in his first year at Carleton University for aerospace engineering. Like, that's not from this person.
Dang.
Yeah. So, I mean, and my friends who have kids that are all in school right now, they're all in these like fantastic, like really academic, but interested, curious kids, right? That become interested, curious adults. So you could totally play with those toys, and like, you don't need to be tentative. Go and jump in. They're lifetime warranty. I don't know why I'm selling Discovery Toys right now. I don't even work for them anymore. But it was good. It was a great stage for my children developmentally. It was a great stage for me. I have a great network of friends from there that are all incredible women who helped me learn how to learn and how to play, which helps me now too, right?
Yeah. And I mean, you answered my question, which I love to ask about, what did you bring in from your prior career now into your career in the entertainment industry? But kind of evolving on that question, now that you're in your career, has there been anything that's been surprising?
Constantly. Yeah, there's like beautiful surprises, and then there's like the devastating surprises, right? It's just like life. It's just like anything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's like wonderful little nuggets. Like so over COVID, you're thinking it was just heartbreaking, I think, for all artists, especially performative artists. It's like I was supposed to be in a play that shut down on the Friday, and we were supposed to be in the theater on the Monday. And it took me 6 months to get this gig. And and then you're rehearsing, performing all the stuff, and you're ready to go. And then after that gig, I was going right into being the lead dancer for Calgary Opera, which I was like, this might be my last dancing gig, because, at the time I was reaching 40. So I was like, this might be it. So all this stuff was leading up to it, and I was just totally crushed when COVID shut down everything. And then I found Upright Citizens Brigade online, and they had these improv classes. And I thought, you know what? Let's give that a shot. So and it's great because I took classes with people in New York and LA. And these are the cream of the crop. Like, these are the people who are in it, doing it all the time, that have done this career and have built this, this resume, this ability to improvise and teach people. Anyhow, I thought it was fantastic. So I took one with John Murray out of New York, and it turns out his wife is from Calgary, and he's been to the Ship and Anchor. And I was like, such a random, the world is funny. Anyhow, so back to oh my God, can I focus? I cannot focus. So anyhow, did that. And then I did like with Betsy Stover. I can't think of everybody's name right now. Anyhow, Shannon O'Neill. But in Shannon O'Neill's class, that was my 401, my last improvised class. And I met my friend Gabby Blackman there. And she said something about, because at the beginning we could chat about like what we got going on, and then we go into class kind of thing. And she's like, well, I've got this sketch that we've done, and we're in San Francisco Sketch Fest. And I'm like messaging her, I'm like, oh my God, you do sketch? I do sketch. And at the time I'd already done some Sketchy Beaver sketches on YouTube. And so I sent her my stuff, she sent me her stuff, and she's like, oh my God, you have to be part of this group. So then she invited me to this sketch writers group. And so when I graduated Upright Citizens Brigade, I got to continue on every second Sunday. We get together on Zoom, and it's, at the time it was a lady out of, Pittsburgh, New York, Seattle, and San Francisco. And there were other people that would come in and come out kind of thing that they knew from their classes. But the four of us, Kelsey's out of New York, Gabby's out of San Francisco, and Heather's out of Seattle. We still, to this day, every second Sunday, we meet up on Zoom. And if we have sketches written, we read each other's sketches out. We ask questions. We try to punch up jokes. And we do this for 2 hours. And I mean, really, now it's like, okay, I got a sketch. Let's do the sketch. And it's like, okay, so what's going on? And who are you dating? And it's like totally become like this amazing friendship that we've built over 4 years. And so that's like a really positive nugget. And through that, I was able to they actually helped me edit all of my sketches for Got MILF, which is my sketch comedy special. Bad nuggets are like things like you put your heart and soul into this short film, and you've got this great crew on board and you think that it's wonderful and you're like, this was an incredible experience. It's a really great short. I just know this is going to be, people are going to laugh at it, and it doesn't get into any festivals. So that's your one where you're like, I don't understand. And you can be totally like, what? Like, this is my best work and it's not getting in. And my not best work has 4.5 million views on YouTube. I don't understand. So it's, I think there's ups and downs like every month even. It's just, you just never know where you're going. It's just like, just keep following the joy and things will come.
Yeah. I love what you were saying about the parasocial relationships that happened from the pandemic. I mean, I was in a very similar situation. I still have friends from Second City Improv 1 online that are from the States.
Yeah.
And we still connect. And like we've met in person once, just because like I did a live recording of my podcast and they flew in, bless their freaking hearts. But just seeing what we're all doing and we're still supporting each other, because I think it takes a unique individual to take the pandemic and go, I think I'm going to take improv classes
online.
And these are the people I want to be friends with, right? Like you were saying.
Yeah.
These are my friend groups now. And aren't we weirdos making art together? Like,
yes. Yeah. My friend Gabby, she actually came to Calgary for a week, not last summer, the summer before in August. And I was like, all right, you're coming. I'm setting you up. And we either did stand up or improv, or we're in I just knew of stuff going on all week that every day we were doing something related to comedy. And I was like, welcome to your personalized comedy retreat in Calgary. But we had such a great time because it's different when you're in person. You get to see each other and see all the in-betweens of like, not just the 2 hours when you're on the camera. You get it's beautiful. I love it. But being able to do this online was a huge gift to me. I also took, do you know of David Rottenberg if you're in Toronto?
yes.
I took his pro class online, which was fantastic because I got to work with people from Toronto, but also South Africa, London, LA, New York. All these people were like, we want to work with David. And I was lucky enough to get into that class and then work with these incredible actors all over the world. I feel like when you're in an acting class together, you're now part of a family. Like, you know each other. There's something very intimate about working together.
There really is. And I think what I just find so interesting, and I still think about a lot, is, yeah, the world shut down. But for me and for you and for a lot of us who kind of were the weirdos who did improv classes online, the world actually expanded for me. I met people I never would have met. Yeah, sure, it was online, but I think those relationships are just as important as the ones that we make in person. It's an incredible family. I agree with you. It's fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah. I never would have been able to work with David, and I never would have been able to work with UCB because it's like, I have a family. Like, for me to travel to take 4 courses that are 12 weeks each, it's impossible, but it became possible. And it's like when there were those beautiful moments where you could find, it made you shut down what you thought you could do and what you thought you couldn't do. And it made you kind of step back and from a childlike perspective go, okay, well, what's available and what do I want? Right. So I think if you could take that, you could make it a positive.
Totally. Do you have any advice for anyone who is interested in trying out acting later on in life?
Yeah, don't do it. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But kind of. No, I'm kidding. So it's like, my poor friend Sandy Hoekstra, she is an actor and she directs a lot of my written stuff. I probably call her or send her a message once every 2 months going, I have to find something else to do. I can't do this anymore. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, oh my God, I just booked this and look at this. And isn't what life are wonderful? So I think, have a good support system is key. Have a great support system because it's going to be a huge learning and it's going to be really vulnerable to put yourself out there. There's going to be a lot of rejection and it is not personal. When I got to see the other side, when I got a cast, Got MILF, I got to see that because I would have, it wasn't huge because it was, I only posted it like probably a couple days before I needed people to actually submit. But I got probably like 10 people submitted, 5 maybe followed through and actually did the audition. And of those 5, maybe 4 were great actors, right? But then we just watched it and I'm like, oh no, but you're Josh or you're Mabel or whatever it was. I'm like, no, you're this character. Like it's just your essence is there. And so that helped me when I audition now to go, oh, I'm a good actor. Like I know I'm a good actor. I've booked a lot. I've worked a lot. I didn't get it. So I probably look like his ex-wife or I'm too tall for the male or you know what I mean? There's so many things that have zero to do with you that if you get that callback, if you've booked things, that's your fuel, right? That's your recognition. Like, yes, I have the skills. I have the ability, keep going. And you can always learn more and you can always diversify, your skills. But I think if you're going to become an actor, you've got to love it and you've got to want to do it because there's nobody else that's going to be driving you. You have to drive yourself. Yeah.
Something that you touched on that just dinged in my head that I want to come back to, and I don't know why this is dinging in my head right now, but you were talking about, especially in your time in theater, when you're in a character and not being taught how to kind of get rid of that character, the like post-show blues, how to like tap out, how to stop being that character that you've so embodied to like the detriment of one's mental health, right? Do you have any advice for, especially because I find newer actors struggle with that? Do you have any advice for that piece of acting? Because it's so essential to what we do to like dig right in. But like, how did you find helpful getting yourself out?
So I think this is just, I think it's going to be trial and error for everybody. Some things that I do some spiritual work. So I do things like maybe I'll write stuff down on a piece of paper and then I'll burn it. I'll have a hot shower and like I had this one spiritual teacher that was like, every day have a hot shower and just rinse everybody's energy off you and let it go down the drain. And then just be yourself when you go to bed. So things like that I use. I try to do things that I know are me and not the character. I had a friend who suggested that. She said that what she does, even from an audition, she'll let herself think about it until she gets to the next thing. And then it's like, hey, that's done now. Like, move on. I think with theater, it probably takes a little bit longer because if you feel safe going that deep with the character, which is obviously the goal, then you're going to have more things that you have to purge out. So, grieving. Sometimes I just cry to get it out. Because if it's like, I feel like during the theater run, I can't grieve it because I still have to bring it the next night, whatever it is. Like, because there's always a conflict. There has to be a conflict. Otherwise, there's not a play. So that conflict is going to hit somewhere. And so if you can actually grieve the conflict. And sometimes I tap. I don't know if you know about tapping. You can put whatever the trauma, the emotion, whatever it is from the character into your hand, and you can feel where it is. If it's like in this hand will probably drop a bit. And then you just tap here and you tap it until you feel like it's gone. And so you can do this, like there's tapping, there's all these different tapping things that you can do that kind of help release trauma, stress, different emotions. So sometimes I do tapping if I feel like it's really ingrained.
That's such smart and wonderful, easy advice that, again, makes my science brain tingle, because when I learned about intimacy coordination, when I was in a play that involved staged intimacy, they were talking about how you get out of a scene. It needs to be tactile. There needs to be some type of touch and some type of other sense going at the same time, whether that's like a word that you say, you smack hands, or something like that. So like having that like tactile sensory and noise, I think, or like for you, the visual of the hand dropping is a powerful tool for the brain to be like, oh, we're done. We're not the character anymore. We're back to being Janet, Susan, right?
Yeah.
It's so the science behind it makes me like giddy.
Oh, that's actually really helpful. I didn't know about intimacy, because I find it really hard to, like, I've been in movies and in plays where I have to fall in love. And then to distinguish that I'm actually not in love with this other actor can be so tricky for your brain. And it sometimes takes me like a month of just not being around that person to be like,
oh yeah,
like it's so hard to fall out of love with the person they were playing, because they're not even that person that you fell in love with, that you didn't even fall in love with, your character did. Like it's so layered that high five would be so
layered.
Helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like we see what we saw, I think, prior to intimacy coordinators being a thing, you'd get these actors falling in love with each other and having these toxic relationships on set or on like backstage. And then they realize they're only in love with each other's character. Right? Yeah. They're in love with the characters. Yeah. But on the other hand, isn't that the work of the actor? It's like, I am deeply in love with this person in front of me, and you can't tell the difference between Janet and the character. Yeah. And neither can my brain, because damn, I'm a good actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, the trigger for the brain to get out of it needs to be 2 senses out of the 5, right? That's what the intimacy coordinator said. So like usually it's like a tap in, tap out practice, right? Like we're high-fiving in, now we are the characters in love with each other. And at the end we are tapping out, and now we are back to ourselves. We touched and we made a noise, and our brains go, oh, where are we now? Oh, hey. Where was I?
Wake up.
It's not perfect, but I think like for me, I found it extremely helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great tip. I wonder if you even if you had like a robe that you put on when you're not the character, and then when you are the character, you take it off. You know, like if there's like a way that you can make it a distinction through what you're wearing or something like that. Like I wear my toque when I'm not the character. And then when I'm the character, I take, like obviously hair and makeup would be very angry with you for that. But I wonder if there's something there too.
But I think again, like senses, right? Like I know when I had to drop into a pretty intense character for a stage show. And for me, like I had a certain song that I would just play. So I get that sense of hearing. Yeah. And then I would, this sounds so funny, but my co-star who I had to be in love with, he had gave me a sample thingy of his cologne. And so it was the smell.
Yes.
So like I was in this hearing sense, and then the sense, this was the smell. Yeah. And then that was my tap in to my character. And then I would tap back out doing the same thing in reverse, being like, I'm going to smell like the air freshener in my car, because that's Janet's. And then I would listen to like some heavy metal song, but like, oh, Janet's back.
Well, now I know a lot about you.
There you go, right? It's just, it's interesting little brain things that like, again, make my brain tingle. I'm like, what a cool thing we get to do. Yeah. What a kind of dangerous thing we do, but there are ways to really channel our brains to be safe, I guess, right?
Yeah. Actually, like scent is such an interesting one, right? Like I think that cologne is what a great way to bring you into it and to fall in love with him, because you can, as you're doing all of your character development and, you're figuring out your arc, you can introduce that scent as you're even like journaling about it or whatever you're doing for your preparation.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they do these studies in school, and I was telling my kids this. It's like, if you're learning something, if you have a certain smell and you're learning it and you're about to go to the exam, you don't even have to, this is what the study said. I didn't tell my kids this part, because I'm like, you don't even have to study. Didn't tell them that part. But you just do the smell and it will all come back. It'll like, boom, be there and you'll know it all again. Yeah.
Our brains are so cool.
They're really cool. That was actually one of the things I loved about the toy business, is that we would actually like get to go to conventions and stuff. And like Jane Haley, let me say that again. Dr. Jane Hanley, she was one of the speakers, and she taught us about brain plasticity and the difference between child play when we were kids and child play now, and the stresses that the kids are enduring because we think an iPhone or an iPad or a tablet or whatever is them playing, but it's not. It's total stress-induced learning, and it's adult programmed, so they're not actually developing their own brain like connections. So like hanging upside down on a monkey bar is so important. It's so important for your brain development, your spatial awareness, all of that stuff. Spinning on a merry-go-round, so important for you. Do we want to do that? No, we don't want to do that, because we've done it and our brain knows what that is. But watching an iPad with something spinning around is completely different. And so that's what we got to learn. We learned all about brain development, and that was so fascinating and so helpful, I think, as a parent and for my kids, because you can also rewire.
Yeah.
And so, learning to rewire your brain is huge too, which I guess you do when you're when you're in a role. You're rewiring your brain to accept this reality or accept this character or their traits or their situation, so that you can actually be them when you're on stage or when you're in front of a camera. Do you think?
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's that like layering, I think, of like, Janet will always be there. Good, right?
Yeah.
But can we layer on top of that this new character who has like veins of Janet's brain wires?
Of course.
That's what makes this character unique. But like, can we add on or change some things to make it a different character?
Yeah.
I think, that's really, really cool.
Yeah. Through like smells and through like what you're saying, different sensory things, you can get in there and rewire quicker and then not access those again. And then the connections will fade away as they're not used.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Now I'm excited. Now I want an audition because I want to like go sniff off a bunch of perfume.
Yes. Oh yeah. Who's this character? You're going to just be the perfume.
Who is this?
Shoppers Drug Mart. Which one are you? Which one are you?
I'm just method acting.
Yeah. Totally safe. I'm fine. No problem. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me about Got MILF. Tell me about that project.
Okay. So Got MILF. It's okay. First off, Got MILF is just premiered on April 1st on Roku. So it's on the Roku channel, and you have to search it up. So if you search up Got MILF, you will find it. But if you just scroll through comedies and stuff, I couldn't find it on there. So have a look-see. So Got MILF started because of my Upright Citizens Brigade training. I was in a sketch comedy writing class, and I was in a character class, and I was learning all about improv and game and all of that. So, you start writing scripts because you bring one every week, and then you get some pitches and stuff through class, of how to change it, how to develop it. And then I joined that sketch group, where I would bring my sketches to the group, and we would, help me edit it and punch it up. So at the end of 2022, I usually have a bit of a, what am I doing with my life come November, December, which is like, really, what am I doing next year? Like what are my plans? Because as an actor, you have zero plans. Like I could be picked up for a movie tomorrow that takes me away for 3 weeks or whatever, something like that. And I might have nothing, So, what are the things that I want to do that I can keep working on while I'm auditioning and, putting myself out there that way. So I was like, well, I want to do Got MILF as a live performance to see if it's actually landing. And then I want to film it. And so I talked to my friend Meg Farhall, who's this brilliant, hilarious director, writer, actor. And I was like, hey, Meg, will you direct a live version of my sketches? And she's like, yes, let's do it. So a local improv group called the Kinkanauts, they were doing a show in February. I asked if I could do my solo sketch show. And very kindly, they agreed to let me have 20 minutes. So Meg and I worked on a couple of sketches, and we found a through line through stand-up. So I did like some stand-up, then I would do a bunch of sketches, some stand-up, a bunch of sketches, and I ended on stand-up. And it just kind of tied it all together. And it was just like, I'm used to like writing a sketch, filming it and putting it online and then being like, how many likes did it get? Did people laugh? Nobody commented. I have no idea if it lands until people I talk to them and they're like, oh my goodness, this part, or I've done this, or things like that. And then I'm like, okay, it's landing, or it makes sense. So this one, when I actually performed it live, I was like overstimulated because of the laughter and the feedback that I was getting from people. And like I did this yoga flow, which is this at-home yoga teacher. But when I'm in the theater, I made all the audience my yoga pupil, like my students kind of thing, right? So I was talking to them like, oh my God, you look fabulous. Are you on the cleanse? Yeah. Oh my, your skin is amazing. And I'm like, oh, thanks so much for coming here, whatever. And then I did the sketch that I do in my Got MILF series, but I did it live, and it kind of played around with it and could feel where it's landing and where it isn't landing and what maybe needs to be adapted. Now, unfortunately, the crowd was really warm and lovely. So it's like, you don't need to change anything. It's so funny as it is, which is lovely to experience. So anyhow, from there, took the sketches. My friend Sandy Hoekstra agreed to direct some. She's like, oh, I'd like to direct this one and this one and this one. And I'm like, no, Sandy, I want to film all 18 sketches. And she's like, oh, and I'm like, I'll produce, you direct, we'll use your crew she was out of Kelowna at the time. She lives in Lake Country. So she has a crew in Kelowna and she had access to equipment. So I'm like, I will come out there. So we went and we filmed, I think we filmed 9 in 6 days the first time I went out. And then we started editing right away. And then we went out again in September. So that was May. And then in September, I went out again to film the last bunch. So we filmed those. And it was cool because I got to cast it out of Vancouver, Kelowna, and Calgary, being like, hey, I'm not providing any travel or any place to stay, but I will, it's a paid gig. Like I will pay you for your work. And I went through ACTRA, which was another learning. ACTRA's so easy to work with. Work with ACTRA. Anyhow, in Alberta, ACTRA is amazing to work with. So anyhow, I'm like, I'm so sorry. This is like, I have a podcast as well, and it's called Completely Off Topic because I just can't help it. So we filmed them, and then the goal was to start releasing October 6th. And we finished filming on October 1st, but we already had some backlog from May, and to film and release it every week on YouTube. And so we released a sketch every week on YouTube for 18 weeks. It's broadcast quality filming, right? Like it's good quality. It's not going to be your Baroness von Sketch set design. Do you know what I mean? There's no budget for that, but the quality of the filming and the acting, and I hope the writing is good. So I didn't want it to end there. And I started talking to different producers and broadcasters about doing a series. And everybody's kind of like, oh yeah, oh my God, that sounds great. But nobody was able to give a green light or to say yes. I worked with Graham Ludlow of Incendo for a little bit to pitch it to CBC. He was on board. His team was all like, loved it. CBC wasn't able to green light it at the time. So that's last July. Let's go back, because then in January, when the last sketch was released, I was like, okay, what do we do with this? And my friend Sandy and I, we were in Toronto at the time for Toronto Sketch Fest. And sometimes I find spirituality is it kind of gives me my answer. And we're just sitting there talking, and I just go, I want to package all 18 as a sketch comedy special. I want to put it all together, put some interstitials between, make it a special, just like a stand-up comedy special, but it'll be a sketch comedy special. And then I've got something that is packaged and ready to go. In case I don't get a producer that wants to make a series, I've got something, right? And our work isn't just on YouTube, which is great, but really you can put anything on YouTube. So that doesn't really validate the quality of something. It's not that it's bad. It can be fabulous, but it doesn't mean it's good. So Sandy was not able to help me do this at the time. She had a ton of stuff going on. So then I found an editor in Calgary and I found a photographer in Calgary that were able to put it together as one other thing that we learned when we were in Toronto Sketch Fest is we're part of the film festival that launches the festival. And they just put the films back to back. And you were kind of like, you'd have a bit of a blackout and then you'd have another sketch and you'd be like, is this a different sketch? Is this the same sketch? And that was really good learning for me in making the sketch comedy special because I'm like, no, you need something in between each sketch as a palate cleanser and as an indication that sketch is done, another sketch is starting kind of thing. So that's where I worked with the photographer, Thomas Geddes, and we did a Got MILF inspired photo shoot, but I had all different kinds of mustaches instead of it just being that sexy little, mustache that all those celebrities get to wear. I have a handlebar mustache made of yogurt. I have like a little like French kind of mustache. I don't know if made of cream cheese or something, like all different dairy, except for one, because in Yoga Flow, I'm going to give you a little spoiler. I don't know a nice way to say this. I crap my pants. Is that a nice way to say that? So, because I'm on a cleanse. Anyhow, so I've recently been told that my work is very primal. So the next shot for Got MILF inspired photo shoot that goes in between the sketches, I have peanut butter smeared on my face. It's just disgusting, but it's just peanut butter and it's funny. And so anyhow, so that's like, it helps the little snapshots in between. They're also animated. Kristen Loader did that, which is fabulous. And so those ones are animated and kind of fun and have the theme music to them, but they also create kind of like a button to the sketch before. So they kind of like close it off as kind of like and that's done. And here's the final joke. And so then, with Ingendo, they weren't able to help me get a series, but the distribution side agreed to take it on to help find a spot for it to land. And they found Roku. So that's kind of how that journey took. It took since November of 2022 of me deciding I was going to do it, like film it, but started writing them in probably 2021. And it just went on the air on Tuesday.
Oh my gosh. And I'll put a link in the show notes for people to find it. That's so exciting. Oh my gosh. Well, is there anything you're looking forward to coming up? Like what's next for you?
Yeah, so completely off topic is my podcast. And I talk to Calgary-based female artists about their body of work, except for we don't because we go completely off topic. But I
love it.
Yeah, I love it because we get to know the artists as people, not as this fictional, an artist made that. What is that? Oh, it's probably somebody who's stuck in a studio all the time and just is in their process. So you get to know them all as women or non-binary folk that are just like you and I, but are creating stuff. And it's quite funny. It's more of a comedy entertainment podcast. And anyhow, season 2, it's funded by Tell a Story Hive, and it's coming out on Apple, Spotify, my YouTube channel, which is Susan Serrao, Sketch and Stuff. And it'll be on TELUS Optics April 8th it launches, and it'll go for 8 weeks. So I'm also applying for funding for another season of that. I've just applied for development funding for MILF Money, which would be a sequel to Got MILF, another sketch comedy special. And a friend of mine, Meg Farhall, who I talked about earlier, We are in development for writing a series about single moms who have kids and child support. And I have another series in my brain that's been there for probably 7 years now that I'm scared to write. So I've just applied for development funding for that.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Yeah. And
That's so cool.
yeah, I also do some live work as well. So there's a show called the Calgary Comedy Cafe. It's once a month. Our next show is April 13th. In May, I believe it's May 25th. And so that's at the Blocks in Calgary. It's all female and non-binary comedians doing a variety show. And it's also a firecracker department event, if you will. And so we all chat beforehand. We all help out. There's a show. Then we all kind of chat and network and hang out, and there's art you can make, and there's people you can talk to, and there's a couple of vendor tables for I think Kinkanauts are coming this month to talk about Kinkanauts. So you can chat and mingle and stuff. And then you head off, and it's a Sunday morning you can be there anywhere from 11 to 1:30. Show's 11:30 till 12:30. And I think that's what I'm doing right now, but I would have to check my brain.
Sounds so fun.
It's so fun. They have one in Toronto too. I think it's the third Sunday of the month. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, do you have any final words of wisdom or advice?
Wisdom. That's always debatable. Advice. I constantly have that. Well, I think the gist of it for me up to this point, I'm sure that my advice and my point of view will change in 6 months or a year from now, 5 years from now. All of that, because we're always evolving, especially people like you and I and people who are doing this as their second act, because you're obviously motivated to be here. You're obviously motivated to change and follow things and not be stagnant. So I think it is just follow your joy. Follow your joy. Have a good support system around you of people who are following their joy and are going to support you and encourage you, help your dreams get made, and help them make their dreams too.
Thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Susan, for being my guest this week. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with me and with my guests. I absolutely adore your story. Everyone, check out the work that she has done. I'll put links in the show notes below. Check it out. Her comedy is next level. Next level. She is hilarious. I'm so excited to see what she's doing next. Ugh. And I hope you all will tune in next week for another episode of Second Act Actors. Bye.